thing.
New hairstyle.
Hey, welcome to BSB TV, and really exciting episode today that we do have. This is Caleb pre-haircut. He's a bit blurry at the moment. We are going to get him post-haircut. You know, he'll post a photo up later on after he's had his beautiful haircut for the day. That he's going off and buying with the beautiful profits that he's focusing on making. We also have, so that's the green corner. We have Caleb.
The green corner.
In the blue corner, we actually have Daniel Hardcastle from Create Growth, and Daniel is going to argue for it is more important to pursue growth strategies rather than focusing on profit.
Yeah,
of course, exactly. Caleb's a negative. As in all debates, what we will have an adjudication. I will open up another screen so that I can actually take calls from the heckling crowd.
Ooh,
and
nice. Good.
And focus on that as we're going through. But Daniel, would you like to start with your opening statement?
I would. Look, we put a post out yesterday and we got something like 150 comments, which is amazing. What I loved about it is the people were really getting behind one or the other. There were a couple of fence sitters, and I won't name names, but you have people like Mike Haynes talk about creating a new segment. He needed a growth strategy to do that, and he knew that he just needed to break even to get that growth he was looking for, and then he focused on profitability. We had Graham talking about if you're not growing, you're just going to shrink your business, and we had Damien. I don't know what track Damien was on, but he was writing a book, a chapter from War and Peace. So I invite you all to go back to it, because what he said made real sense in terms of growth, but also raising capital. And Adam, I think he had the quote of the day is grow your profits and not your business. And I thought that was spot on. But look, I think growth is so important. If you don't have a growth mindset, or if you don't have growth goals, then how are you going to grow your business? I go on to many coaching calls where there are accountants there, and they're talking about profitability. They're talking about GPs, net profits. But, the person on the other end of the call is going, well, no one is actually walking into my restaurant. You could have the best costed menu. You could have the best model. But if you're not filling that funnel with growth, then profits just don't happen. You can't bank percentages, as my bank manager used to say to me. It's all about cash is king. And cash is king comes from growth. It comes from revenue in. Of course, you got to make sense in being sustainable sustainable growth. You don't want to be chasing growth at a loss leader. You might do it once or twice just to get scale, like the supermarkets do on bread or milk or whatever. But generally, your basket of goods, you're going to have a high GP, high growth, and don't even think about profits. Profit will not drive you to where you want to be. Oh, Kevin's come back in.
And I'll do that. I'll run away so that you can have your statements and you can talk about that. So great. And we don't have any questions just yet. So
I have a question.
Caleb, in response, you believe that profit is more important than growth.
I do. And I suppose I'll finish with my question, and that'll get the ball rolling. So my argument around profits being more important than growth is one centered on just sheer market experience. I've been doing marketing for quite a while. I've worked in some massive corporations, national telecommunications companies, both here in Australia and overseas. I've seen businesses grow very, very quickly to their own detriment. And yes, you can grow slowly. But if you're growing slowly, aren't you just making a profit and then building on it? So at the end of the day, even growth itself, and some people made this in the comments, it's like, yes, when you're growing, you need to factor profit in. So if you're factoring it in, it's built into the growth. Daniel's, one of the comments he made was around a gentleman needing to break into a new segment, and all he needed to do was break even. Well, doesn't that mean he needs to make enough profit to cover his costs? So my argument is you can go from $0 to $1 million in 3 months. I've done it with businesses before. That's fine. I've doubled revenue in 28 days. But if the profit's not there, it doesn't mean anything, because you're not going to be able to fulfill, you're not going to be able to keep your customers happy, and then you're going to go out of business because you can't afford to pay to fix the problems you've created by growing too quickly. And my question is what does GP stand for in your last statement?
Gross profit.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, you got me there. I walked into that door. Boof.
An interesting opening round. We have Daniel saying that if we don't grow, it doesn't matter what percentage profit we're actually making.
No, I never said that.
It's a very small number. It's still a very small profit. And Caleb going, hey, we need to be focused on the bigger picture. So
I think hang on. I was talking about growth strategy. So let's go back and peel the onion a little bit. If you've got a strategy based solely on profit, I don't think you're going to achieve your goals. You know, you're not going to have that pride and culture, because you're going to be always cost cutting with your staff. You're going to be cost cutting with your suppliers. But if you have a growth mentality, then you'll get the best suppliers. You'll attract the best talent in your pride and culture, and your values will resonate with your consumers. Because remember, your values will vibrate the same as your consumers. So if you're an accountant looking for profit and you're profit, then you're going to attract customers that are looking at profit. But if you're an accountant that's looking at growth mindset and growing businesses, you're going to attract those businesses with that mindset. So I think it's all about a growth mindset. And yes, you should have in the back of your mind the profitability of the business, but it should never be your strategy or your focus. It should be always growth mindset.
Awesome. And Caleb, in response to that, do you feel that Daniel's changed his argument?
No.
Well,
no,
he might not. I see Mike is both. Mike Haynes is saying both are as important as each other and should be considered together as dependent factors.
Then Mike, get off the fence, mate. Get off the fence. Select the blue team or the green team.
If you're sitting on the fence. So, Caleb.
So my response. I think saying that if you focus exclusively on profit, you're going to attract cost. You're going to be cost cutting. You're going to attract suppliers that are only focused on profit. I think that's naive, honestly. We live in a world where you can create a brand overnight, like a luxury brand, for example, that is eco-friendly, sustainable, and basically set up to be registered as a B Corp, and still make a very, very healthy profit. And that should be a driving factor, because the reality is, if you don't make a profit, you can't continue to do good in the world. And I'm not saying focus exclusively on every single dollar and penny pinch, because that will get you into trouble sooner or later. But what I'm saying is profit needs to be factored at every stage, and it should be one of the driving factors, I feel, because the reality is, as I just said, without gross profit at a bare minimum, which still has that word in it. Kevin,
that was
my 30 seconds.
Fine for that.
I'll give you another 10 seconds.
If you don't have profit, you can't keep doing what you're doing.
Fantastic.
I suppose when I first put the post out there yesterday, it was, does growth trump profit in business? And I still believe that if you go into business without a growth mindset and you're just set out to make money, I think your priorities, and if you build your plan on that, you won't be successful. And again, it depends what your priorities are. If you're into Bitcoin and you just trade Bitcoin all day, then of course it's all about profit, right? But I'm on about a service or a product-based business, a fast-moving consumable business. It's all about customer retention, customer loyalty, and growth. It is absolutely the laws of growth.
I think Mike's arguing with himself in the comments now.
I think he's doing a really good job of arguing with himself in the comments. And you see, if I look at some of the biggest companies in the world, they would not be where they are today if they didn't start with growth as their primary objective. And in fact, most of them have almost gone broke pursuing growth, been able to get to a tipping point and therefore reach massive profitability with, through Google, through Facebook, through all of these businesses. If you look at PayPal, that launched Elon Musk, all of them went through massive downswings before they focused on profit. However, we're talking about small business owners. And so we do need to look for, and I think what I would like to bring this together to is we need to look for sustainability. I think you're both right and you're both wrong. So, but let's focus on we're both right. Let's focus on we're both right. We need to have sufficient customers to have a sustainable business that we can afford. Something about working smarter, not harder. And that was that.
Always be optimizing. Which way does it go? There we go.
Always be optimizing.
Isn't that a growth mindset? When you're always optimizing, you're always making things better. Isn't that a growth mindset? Getting better, growing?
Hey, he's got 2 goes. I haven't had a chance to reply yet. And now Kevin's ganging up on me as well. This is not fair.
So final words. So I'm going to let Caleb have the final words in the discussion.
Okay.
Over to you.
So the when people think about profit, the primary thing that comes to mind is dollars, money, cash in the bank, so to speak. That is not actually true. To profit off any sort of situation, it's just to gain an advantage or some sort of benefit. So if you are pursuing a growth strategy, you are profiting by generating an audience to later go back and reap benefits from. So honestly, I'm going to go semantics here, and I'm going to say it still comes back to profit. Okay.
So, as I said, I really do believe it's all about sustainability. I want to thank you guys for having
I had my clothes. I had my clothes. You gave them a clothes.
You've got 30 seconds.
Look, it's very simple. If you're setting out in business, you don't start a business plan with profit. You start a business plan with, am I filling a need? What's the problem I'm solving? And that's all about growth mindset. And if you go into starting a business and listen to an accountant and says, you've got to have your GP right, you've got to have your net profit right, you've got to have this structure right, you're not filling that need of your customer. You're thinking about yourself. So if you want to grow, you've got to think about the customer and you've got to have a growth mindset.
I want to retort that.
And as you said,
so much.
I think at the end of the day, I actually do think at the end of the day, we're all agreeing. And we're having a little bit of fun doing it. And it's great to get so many people within the community actually thinking about the importance of this. From a consulting point of view, I have seen people who were running very high GPs run into challenges because they didn't have many customers. And when they lose one customer, there's a big chunk of their business gone. And that's a big stress for them. And I've found other businesses who don't have a profitable product and therefore aren't able to deliver. They're going backwards slowly. So it's really important to make sure, yes, that you understand your profits and you understand the importance of growth, and both of you having a growth mindset about each of the topics so that we can talk about sustainable growth going forward.
Can I add one thing? Can I add one thing?
Sure.
I was so overwhelmed by the response we had yesterday, but not only overwhelmed by the response, just how kind people were in giving up their time to help other business owners, and it was just wonderful collaboration for 150 odd comments. So well done, BSB Group. That's exactly what we're trying to achieve here. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you. And thank you too for having an idea. You met at the expo the other week, and that was the very first time you'd ever met. And all of a sudden you're chatting away as if you've known each other forever, which was fantastic. And hey, Business Small Business is bringing small business owners together and helping form new friendships. And hopefully you two frenemies can carry on this path and find a few other topics to debate as we go throughout time. But hey, if anybody else wants to start a debate, feel free. Let's make sure that we can challenge each other to think about how we can run better businesses. So thanks very much for your time, guys.
Here's to growth.
May you profit from it.